What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Everyday Life Podcast. Man, we are starting off a series today on prayer. So I want to encourage you as we walk through like this book club style podcast series we're going to do. I want to encourage you to pick up Forgotten Power. You can find it on Amazon. It's like $15 from David Butts. But before we get into episode 1 of this series, I want to introduce you to our co-host here. So we're going to start to my far right, your left. We got Miss Brooke Volan down there. What's up, Brooke?
Hey.
Yeah. All right, Brooke. So most of us, everybody in the world knows who you are. But tell us, what do you do here at Long Hollow?
So I'm one of the worship leaders here. I think my husband and I have gone to church here for about 13 or 14 years, and I started singing pretty soon after that. So really have grown in my walk with the Lord over, obviously the last 13 years, and just love this church and love being able to lead worship with my team and love this place.
Come on. We love you too, Brooke.
Thanks.
All right, next up, ladies first, we got Miss Julie Woodruff down here. Miss Julie, what do you do here?
Julie Woodruff.
Miss
See, that
Julie.
makes it already.
It's
He
a
said Miss
Southern
Brooke, too.
generational thing. Like, yes,
You're the
ma'am.
oldest in the room. Here we
That-
go.
nobody said that.
What are you asking me?
For she couldn't hear us, y'all. So I was asking, how long have you been here at Long Hollow? What do you do?
Oh, yeah. I've been here for 15 years. And I done women's ministry up until this last year. And I now am over adult ministry.
Yeah, so she's everybody's boss. All right, next up, we got
One of the
Mr.
best people on the planet.
Yeah, she is.
My spiritual
100%.
mama.
Come on.
The best person on the planet. All right, we got Andy Williams. Andy, what do you do here at Long Hollow?
What do I do
I
here?
have no idea. That's what I'm asking.
Well, currently I am the creative arts pastor, and so still trying to figure out what that looks like. But
Which is a
worship,
new, new kind of role.
It is
thing for
new,
you.
brand new, and that's why we're trying to figure it out. Lead each week Sunday worship and the music team, and so that's what I do. It's what
Come
I
on.
love.
He's a
That's cool.
visionary.
He's a visionary. I
visionary.
agree.
He is.
I agree. Wise beyond his years. Youngest in the room here, Andy.
Wow.
Well, my name is Andrew, if I don't know you. Nice to meet you. I'm
What do
our
you do
digital
here?
pastor.
Andrew, what do you do?
I'm also trying to figure that out. Oh, me. So I started coming to Long Hollow in 2007, which is forever ago. In those days, I remember Brooke was like a superstar. She was the person.
She's still a superstar.
Oh, she's still a
Yeah,
superstar.
that
But
changed.
one day,
Y'all
I
are
remember I was
embarrassing.
walking out of
This is
church, and Brooke said hi to me, and I was like, I didn't know like if I need to get her autograph or what, but it was like a really big deal that the Brooke Volan said
my
hi to me in the
gosh,
parking
we
lot.
quit.
So.
Did you give me your autograph?
Yeah, can I
can you sign
can
this
you sign my prayer book, please?
Sure, David would love that.
Yeah,
And then you got
so
to know me.
Then I got to
And
know
then you got to know me,
and
you're like,
I didn't
oh.
want your autograph anymore.
Yeah,
but-
exactly. Thank
I'm just
you.
kidding. I'm totally kidding. Anyway, so came 2007, 2009, did an internship here at Long Hollow, worked on our student team for almost a decade, and then a year ago stepped into this digital pastor role, and I have no idea what that means.
You're
but
killing it.
You are
here we go.
killing it.
Well,
You're
thanks.
doing
I
an
appreciate
amazing
that.
job.
I appreciate that. All right. Well, listen, you guys had submitted some questions that you wanted to get to know our host a little bit better. So each week, not only are we going to walk through a chapter of this book, but you're also going to get to know us better. So the first question people want to know, Andy, we're going to start with you.
Okay.
Same question. No, this question is specifically for you.
Oh.
But somebody asked, not everybody has to answer this. Somebody asked, Andy Williams, how are you trendy and redneck at the same time?
Oh, bro, it's like a
Treadneck.
treadneck. I love that hashtag treadneck. I think it's just a product of like growing up in the middle of a rice field and moving to Nashville.
Right.
You know?
Win, Arkansas
Can
meets
you give
Nashville.
us a little suey pig, or how do you do
Oh,
that?
woo, Pig Suey. I will do
that
that
is
all
so
day long.
strange.
Yeah.
People do
Come
that.
on now. Yeah, it's a strange mixture, but I think it works.
Yeah.
Right? Does it?
Sure. No, it works. It 100% works. You're
Yeah.
my fellow redneck on staff.
Come on,
so
let's
I
go.
appreciate
Come
that. I appreciate that. All right, but everybody else wanted to know, how did we meet our spouses? How we meet our spouses? So, Andy, I'm going to start with you two.
So this is super spiritual. I met my spouse on Facebook.
That
So
is so wild to me.
yes, met her on Facebook, which is it's super wild. I was like in a band at the time, and she actually reached out to me first.
Oh, well, hold on. What was the name of the band?
I think it was just called the Andy Williams Band, to be honest with you. It's just the thing you did when you were a worship leader.
You can find that on Spotify.
Yeah, no, you can't. She just she messaged me on Facebook, and she actually was wanting me to come and lead worship at her church that she was working at.
Well played.
And honestly, we never played at the church, but I was like, man, this lady is beautiful, and so we started dating and we got married. So
That's
how
cute.
crazy is that?
Just that quick.
How about
Love
that?
it.
How about that?
How long did y'all date?
Oh, that's a great question. I will get this wrong. I think we dated 2 years,
Okay, well, that's a good while.
maybe a year.
Kristen,
Right. You said 2 years,
Yeah.
maybe a year.
Okay, I think we dated a year. We dated a year,
Okay.
engaged another year,
Okay.
Okay.
and married.
There you go. Get it
exactly
right.
the same.
Yeah, really.
Get it right.
Really?
All right, Brooke, how'd you meet
Where'd
Randy?
you meet Randy?
So we met in the candy aisle at Target.
Oh, wow.
No joke.
Who knew?
That's sweet.
Listen.
It is sweet. So my husband used to be the lead singer for a rock band here in Nashville.
I can see
And
that.
we had mutual friends, and I had actually gone to see his band play before, but I didn't know him. I never met him at a show. And then I ran into him at Target, and I was like, "Aren't you that guy from that band?" And I kind of messed with him a little bit. I was like, "I'm such a huge fan," and he acted all like confident, like, "Oh yeah, like cool." And I was like, "I'm just kidding. I'm friends with Reed and Rachel." And so, but I remember thinking, like, he is so nice. And my friend calls me a week later and said, "You're not going to believe who wants to take you out. Randy Voland." And I was like, "What?"
The Randy.
The Randy Voland.
rocker
He
Randy.
was like way older than me, long
Yeah.
hair down to here.
You say
and
way older. What does that mean?
he's 10 years older
10
than me.
years.
Wow.
Yeah, he is.
Wow.
My
But he
parents,
is so good looking.
so good looking. My parents did not like him for the longest time, and now
Yeah.
he's their favorite child out of even their biological
Yeah.
children.
That's
So.
I believe it.
That's
I believe it.
amazing.
So years ago when we were in life group together, I don't know if I ever told y'all this, but I got to know Randy, and there was one point in our friendship I was like, man, I wish I would have known Randy before I got married. Like I was like, I wanted Randy in my wedding. Like that's how much I like your husband.
He's awesome.
Was your
Yeah.
wedding boring or something?
No,
Like-
we already had
It was
30.
anything from board.
No, it was anything from born, and we already had 36 people in our wedding party. So what's one more if we add Randy? You know.
Jeez, that's
Oh
funny.
my gosh. Okay, so since we've transitioned to my wedding, I met Jenny here at Long Hollow, actually. She was on staff. I was just attending, and I was sitting up in the balcony one day, and we were in this ACT series on missions, and she did a video on missions and her heart for the Lord and all this. And I was like, man, this girl is smoking hot. I don't know if I can say that. Can we edit that out?
Yeah.
This girl is beautiful. And she loves Jesus. And I pulled an Andy Williams, and I looked her up on Facebook, slid into that her DMs there. And I simply said, hey, you don't know me, but I was really encouraged by your video. By the way, I'd love to meet you sometime. So
What was the next message?
I don't remember. I can go back and look
How
it up.
long did it take
probably.
for her to respond?
Oh, instantly, man. Oh, come on.
I don't believe
She ain't
that.
awake,
I
you
do
know
not
what I'm
believe that.
No, I don't remember how long. But anyways, we ended up meeting here at church in the college ministry, and we
I
dated.
watched that little romance
You
forming
did, you
and
did.
blooming.
sweet.
And yes, the whole
Okay,
thing,
so
yeah.
I became a super volunteer, and everybody was like, "Who is this guy? He is awesome!" And they finally picked up on the fact that
Oh,
I
yeah.
was.
We know why you were
I had
there.
a mission. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
you did.
So, fun fact: we do like a D Now Disciple Now weekend every year, and when Jenny was working here, I was like, asking how I can help, and she was like, "Hey, yeah, you can come up to the office and help. Hey, put on your work boots." You know, she was saying that like she was going to put me to work. I show up in my work boots, like I had no idea what she meant. So I'm literally wearing my work boots, sitting in the floor, like organizing papers. You know what I'm saying? Like I was
my
expecting
That
to
is
do something
great.
else, but I was all in. And none of the production guys liked me, by the way. So Tyler Hurth, one of our
Why?
staff
'Cause they
members,
all like Jenny?
I don't know why, but they were like super protective of Jenny and just could not stand this random guy
that's
coming in.
cute.
So yeah,
You were
come on,
hooked, bro.
Yeah, I know. I was
You
hooked.
were
So
hooked.
all right. So anyway, so we dated for 8 months, engaged for 6 months. Got married the day of the Nashville flood in 2010. So anything
You got married on the day of
on the day,
Oh,
yeah,
the
yeah,
day,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Wow.
I
Had to
mean,
move
we
the wedding
had
and
to move
everything.
the wedding. So 6 months worth of planning was literally underwater. Had to find
Wow.
a venue the day before. And we packed 400 people in this little bitty stone church. We had people sitting in the choir loft behind us. One of our staff members was sitting at the organ. I mean, we're walking through the aisle. I had to dodge people. It was insane. But it was awesome.
Crazy.
Yeah,
That's
it was
insane.
crazy. It was crazy. All right, Julie.
So funny.
Julie, we got some coffee coming in.
Oh,
You guys
yeah,
can-
yay.
Oh,
All right,
wow,
Julie.
thank
So
you.
how did you meet Sid?
Okay, well, Sid and I, this is really spiritual. Thank you, sir. Sid and I met at a church in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
He was on staff as the associate pastor. I actually was in seminary at the time.
Thank you. You got whipped cream in here?
And went down as the summer youth minister. And there were three of us, another girl and I doing student ministry, and Sid was associate pastor. So the three of us kind of hung out because we were all single. Well, we had a picnic on July the 4th of that summer, and we had a softball game. Well, now y'all need to understand that I played softball in college intramurally.
Okay.
But I was so bad that people, this truth, would skip class to come watch me play
Oh, my
because it was
goodness,
horrible.
Julie.
It was
That's
just
awesome.
it was just the joke. It was a joke. I was on a small campus. But
Yeah.
anyway, they did. So that day I was in right field and Sid's on the opposite
Right
team.
field. That's where they put me too.
That's
for
where
some
they
reason.
put
Always
everybody
right
who
field.
can't play. Maybe, yeah, right field. And anyway, he got up to bat thinking, well, this is an easy
Yeah.
home run for me. And he hit the ball to right field, and guess who caught it?
No.
Yes, I did.
You caught.
Yes,
you got
I
sit
caught
out.
the right field. I jumped around like
What a
crazy.
catch.
What a
and that was it. We were on fire.
Oh, come on.
today.
Yeah, I've never
Rolling
liked that, to be
today.
honest
We've got them rolling today. So literally, that really did happen.
Yeah.
So for all the church was trying to get us together because they thought we needed, we needed to be. And so that was on July 4th. On August 6th, he asked me to marry him.
Oh wow.
And
Wow. Come
I
on.
went
That's
back,
quick.
finished my degree at
So
Southwestern
wild.
in December, and we got married in January.
There you go.
Come on.
So
And
there
y'all
you go.
didn't meet on Facebook.
And we didn't meet on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean,
but
it
he's
did not
older than me
exist.
too, way older, Brooke. So there you go. We both married older men, and
Yeah.
you married a younger one. I mean, Jenny married a younger man.
She
right?
did.
Yeah,
She
that's what I was
did.
thinking.
She
Oh, wow.
robbed the cradle.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
Yeah,
that.
4 months.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Anyways, all right. Well, listen, thank y'all. That's the question you guys wanted this
That was
episode.
fun.
So we got another question for you next episode. All right. So speaking of prayer, we're going to dive into chapter 1. But I'd like to know kind of your journey of prayer, just personally. So I want you to know we're approaching this whole series from a place of learning. Like we have not arrived. We don't have it figured out. We're walking through the theology of prayer at the same time you are, and learning and growing at the same time. So anyways, I'd love to know what has your journey with prayer been like?
I'll be honest with you. I think for me, I mean, this last year, I felt like up until this last year, I probably had not prayed before in my life. And I know, like I had, but I just feel like I have learned so much through Pastor Robbie, through what our church has been through over the past year, just about the importance of prayer. But what does it look like? I mean, there's a relationship there, right? It's just not a bunch of requests that you toss out, but there's a relationship there. And I mean, I am totally like convicted and I would say ashamed that I've treated prayer, as it shouldn't be treated.
Right.
So long in my Christian life, and maybe haven't even utilized prayer the way I could have, and seen God move. So yeah, I feel like even this past year, I've just like God has like taken me to school,
Right.
You know, on prayer. It's been amazing. So
No, I agree. I'd say this year has been just hugely important and pivotal in my life. So we started the year as a church with 21 days of prayer and fasting. And it was like that was the first time I had ever really like tasted and seen what my prayer life could be like. Like that time in my closet on my face with the Lord was so fruitful. And even preparing for just, as this conversation today, I was thinking back to when I was a kid and all my prayers were like, God, put a hedge of protection around my house, protect me from aliens, like stuff like that. I don't know why. I don't know what
Lord,
my parents were
let
letting me
pass
watch.
my
but-
test.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I vividly remember praying one night, God, if you will just give me the ability to fly, I will never pray again. That's what I prayed. But a couple things I learned from that. One, I can't fly, so I still pray. But God wants me to pray.
Yeah.
But I realized even as a kid that I was treating prayer like God was Santa Claus, and I was asking for stuff. God, give me this, and I'll stop asking for things. Is what I was kind of praying. So for me, I mean, even I'm 35 years old. I've been a pastor for a decade, and I would say for the past year is the first time my prayer life has started taking a swing in the right direction.
Yeah. When I was younger in my faith, and I mean, even more mature, I would be reminded to pray more when I had a need, like, God, I need help with this, or I need you to come through in this way.
Right.
And it reminded me, I was thinking about this yesterday, it reminded me of my kids. I can't count how many times a day they're like, Mom, will you buy me this? Or will you do this for me?
Robux. If my kids ask me for
I know,
Robux,
constantly. And I was the same way when I was a kid. But now that I'm older and more mature, like when I'm with my parents, I just want to be with them.
Right.
I just want to be in their presence. I want to pick their brains. I want to get to know them more. And I think that's kind of the shift that's been the shift in my prayer life. I learned, a few years ago about listening prayer, and I'd never really practiced that before. But just asking God a question and being silent and just, waiting to hear from him and just spending time in his presence, that is prayer, as well as just, you don't have to just talk to talk,
Right.
I'm like, I say that I'm a poor communicator. I'm not really the most eloquent or good with words, but you don't really have to be to have a great prayer life.
Yeah, just a real conversation, just like with real people.
Yeah, I think that's key, Brooke, because I think we've already said it, but the relationship is critical. I heard years ago that verse in Psalm 37:4 that says, delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. And I heard this, which kind of changed things for me. When we delight ourselves in him, he becomes the desire of our heart.
Yeah.
And and I think Butt says it in this book. He says we get to the point where we it's about God. It's not about us. And we try to make it more about us than about God.
Yeah.
And it's just coming to him and sitting as a child. And that's the thing. I mean, we've already established that I'm the oldest in the room. And so I've been doing this a long time, but it was at 32, I think, for me, where really things pivoted as far as my prayer life, and I began to journal and write out my prayers. And as I began to do that, I read a book, and someone said I was looking for I looked at all the people in my life who are the most mature spiritually. And I thought, I'm just going to go and ask them what they do. And he said across the board, he traveled the United States and asked these people, what do you do? And to a person, they said they journaled, which I had never done. And I thought, what in the world is that? So, I mean, when I first started, it was this. But then as it grew, it became my prayer journal, really, where I was talking to the Lord and listening. But it made me focus on him more than on my needs.
Yeah, for sure.
And go ahead.
No,
I was just going to say, and how neat that is to be able to go back and look at those prayers. Because I'll forget things I prayed years ago, but I've journaled some prayers, and I go back and I'm just like, wow, the Lord blew me away in this area. I can't believe, that I journaled that, and God really answered that huge prayer request that I had. It's awesome.
He says over and over in the Old Testament for the Israelites to remember and not forget. Remember and not forget. And that really has helped me to remember.
Remembrance.
No, that's been a game changer for me too. Like this year, I never journaled my prayers, but my mind always wanders. So I'm praying. Next thing you know, I'm thinking about something else. I'm like, how did I even get here? Like I was just trying to talk to the Lord. And so, but when I journal, it does help me not just stay on track, but just stay in tune and focused. Just like if I'm sitting down with Jenny having a conversation, it's one thing for me to have eye-to-eye contact with her talking. It's another thing for me to be trying to talk to her and be on my phone as well. So like when I journal, it kind of helps me stay intentional, with that conversation. But one thing I loved about even the intro of this book is sometimes we overcomplicate prayer, and we try to make it this lavish thing that seems really complicated, or we don't understand it and it's scary. But he talks about, even in the introduction, that the theology of prayer doesn't have to be complicated. It's actually, he says theology is intended for the simplest of people. And he points back even to the disciples, like the disciples who spent all their time with Jesus. They could have asked him anything. God, teach us how to do miracles. God, teach us how to walk on water. Like that was really cool. No, but they said, Lord, teach us how to pray. And I think like as believers, it's not that we don't want to pray, but we just don't know how.
That is so good because I have thought often as they asked the Lord, teach us to pray. they were Jewish boys.
Yeah.
They knew how to
have
pray.
grown up doing this
Yeah.
They
their
had
whole
grown
life.
up doing it. But so what made
good.
the difference? Why would they
Wow.
have asked Jesus? I think it was because when they saw him pray,
Yeah.
they thought
It
he's
looks
got a
different,
relationship
Yeah.
that we don't have. His prayers are different
Right.
than ours are.
Right.
I think too, man. What I've learned, and I think when prayer ceased to be about requests, and it's more about being present and being, like you said, dwelling with God.
Yeah.
That's when it shifts.
Yeah.
It's like, what would it look like to get out of a prayer time and go, Lord, I could care less if you came through and answered my request.
Yeah.
Just simply being with you was enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the journey that I have been on of going, yes, I mean, there are things in my life that I really need God to come through in, but simply just taking the time and dwelling with him, like his presence is enough.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't get that whenever I'm, you know, going from meeting to meeting to meeting,
Right.
or, you know, going from situation to situation. I get that whenever I'm willing to just be still with the Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's half the battle.
That's
Right.
exactly right.
That's half the battle of going, okay, I gotta have my coffee time with the Lord.
Yeah.
You know?
And sometimes you have to schedule that in your calendar.
Yeah.
yeah.
Just to do it because our lives are so busy. That is
Yeah.
the last thing
Yeah. Right.
typically we
You're right.
want to do. And we love to hate this word, but it is a discipline.
Yeah.
Totally.
No, for sure.
Totally.
It requires that of us
Yeah.
to stop and be still.
Yeah.
It's funny, you said the word dwell. That's one thing that really stood out to me on page 9. He said the Bible is full with references to God's house. As you read through these verses, it becomes very clear that his house has never been limited to a building. The building was an important visual illustration of what it means to draw near to God and to dwell in his presence. So that dwelling is something that stood out to me as well. But like you said, Julie, being intentional, putting on our calendar. Like I've had conversations with people or myself, you know, have thought that, man, I just want it to happen organically. You know, I don't want it to be this ritual thing. And I've just learned in my life, the only thing in my life that happens organically is sin. Like, that's it. Like, or just like in my garden at home, like the only thing that naturally happens are weeds grow.
Yeah.
And I have to be intentional to pull those weeds. I have to be intentional to prune those plants. I have to be intentional with everything else. And the same is true in my prayer life. And it's just like a date night with Jenny, like, man, we want it to intentionally happen, but how much more does it matter to her when I'm intentional to plan it and to schedule it? Like that speaks volume to her.
Yeah.
And we understand intentionality from that standpoint, but we can apply that same intentionality to our spiritual disciplines as well.
Well, one of the things that I thought, and it's in the same vein of what you talked about. This is page 8 going into page 9, but it talks about God's house was not in any way limited to the temple in Jerusalem. God's house existed long before the temple or its predecessor, the tabernacle of Moses. It exists even now and will continue when this age is over and earth ceases to exist in its current form. It is an eternal house, and it's a place of communion with God. And when I was reading this, when Jesus and God establishes the tabernacle or the church as a house of prayer, you think about what we have made the church.
Right.
In a lot of ways, it's like everything but a house of prayer.
Right.
It's maybe it's a house of committees. It's a house of gossip. Or whatever it is. But God says no. This needs to be a house of prayer. But even more so, it's not even just the church that we come to on the weekend. What does it look like when you become? Yeah. Because we are the tabernacle. We are the temple exists here. Like, what does it look like when you become a house of prayer, or when you're at home, when you walk into your house and say, "Hey, this is a house of prayer." How does that? How would that change your life, but also how would it change your family's life and the people that came into your world? Hey, Julie. I know she is. I mean, she is a house of prayer. I mean, we all know. When we're around Julie, we know. I mean, I'm not, but we know. And she spends time with the Lord. You know, it just shifts some things.
Yeah, it does. I think God desires for Long Hollow, not just this physical building we're in, but the people of Long Hollow to become a house of prayer, just like you said. And I was really encouraged. A couple of months ago, we were in the middle of the revival. God's just doing some crazy stuff here. I mean, God's obviously still doing some amazing stuff here. But it was a prayer night. And this guy had an appraiser at his house, which I don't know if you've ever had a house appraised, but they're like expensive, $400 or $500 to get your house appraised. It's a really big deal for whatever it is you're getting it appraised for. And the guy whose house it was kind of in a hurry, and the appraiser got frustrated. He was like, "Hey, why are you in a hurry to get out of here? Like, this is expensive. This is a really big deal. All this stuff." He's like, "Man, I got to get to prayer night." And the appraiser was like, "You like you're in a hurry right now to get to prayer night on a what night? On a Tuesday? It was on Tuesday at that point." And he was blown away and really impacted. The appraiser ended up coming to prayer night because he was so, not that night, but like the next week or something. But he was just so impacted by this guy becoming a house of prayer, prayer becoming so much a priority in his life that he was willing to sacrifice a $400 or $500 appraiser to be able to get to the body of Christ and hang out in this prayer. So that was really encouraging to see God doing that here at Long Hollow. Anything else stand out to you guys out of chapter 1?
Gosh,
we got some points to ponder as well.
I liked just God's intentionality of naming people.
Right.
You know how
I love that.
the names were important, and that when there was a change in circumstances, it often meant a name change was necessary. Just like God gives us a new name, but that's like names are so important to Him. He named the church a house of prayer, and I loved how He brought that in there.
After I read that, I was like, I think I need to rename my kids. I'm like, I don't think I put enough intentionality into naming these boys.
Can I get a new name? Yeah.
I loved what he said on page 10 about today we're talking a lot about the nature of the church.
Right.
What is it? Is it missional or emergent or post or whatever?
Right.
And then he says, where in the midst of the discussion are the leaders who are asking the Lord what He is calling His church to be in these days.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to your point, Andy, we can do a lot.
Yeah.
But He's calling us to be.
Right.
And that is be still and know that He's God. And I think we've seen here at Long Hollow the Lord change things.
Absolutely.
We have been still before Him.
Yeah. It said at the bottom of that page, which I underlined, starred, I kind of did everything you could in the book there. But it said, when we grab hold of this, it transcends the changing of cultures.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is one thing. I mean, we live in an ever-changing culture, and it feels like you can't win at times. If you're silent about things, you lose. If you're vocal about things, you lose. You just lose no matter what.
Yeah.
But if we grab hold of this and who we are, man, that transcends
I remember when Robbie first started kind of introducing this idea where he was spending time with the Lord. And I just remember when he was talking about it, he would say he would spend an hour or two like on the front porch just being with the Lord. And I just remember thinking, sorry, but I was thinking that is the most ridiculous thing.
right.
And
hours?
Yeah, I was like, what in the world are you doing? And how are you doing that? And I just thought that it was bizarre. And but the more he talked about it, the more I was like, maybe there is something to this. And I remember whenever I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna start this. You're talking about changing culture,
right?
And you're talking about the simplicity of just sitting with the Lord. We try to make it all about a lot of things, but just literally sitting with the Lord, it's life changing. And I just remember thinking to myself, like 3 months ago, I thought this was bizarre.
Right.
Now I'm thinking I've got to have it.
Right.
And it changes everything. It
Changes
changes our
everything.
mindset.
Yeah.
It changes our homes.
Yeah.
It changes the way we parent. It changes
the way
our
we interact with
relationships.
neighbors.
Absolutely.
I mean, it affects everything.
Yeah.
Affects everything. All right, so the end of each chapter has some points to ponder. So as you're walking through this book, as you pick it up for yourself, these are great. This is a great way to reflect over what you just read. So I want to ask us just two of these real quick, and then I got some application I want to challenge our listeners with. So the first one is this: if God clearly gave His house the name a house of prayer, what does it mean for our church? I'm gonna make it personal. What does that mean for our church? When I say our church, I don't just mean our programming. I mean our people. What does that mean for our people to become a house of prayer? I got some thoughts.
I mean, I would say that it should be the thing that we get right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that's good.
It should be the thing that fuels everything that we do. Like if we start with, I don't know, if we start down the road and we forget to start with prayer and everything that we do, then we've already started on the wrong foot. So it's not it's not just something that we do, but it's who we are as a people.
Yeah.
And so it's like the one thing that we've got to get right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me personally, I just wrote down, it needs to be my first reaction, not a tag on or a last resort. So it's just, it's where I go to first, not the ritual before dinner, whatever, or just when I'm in a bind. So it just needs to become who I am, like you said.
I would say I'm grateful for a pastor who has led us to do and challenged us.
Absolutely.
And even that we as teams are spending time praying before we do anything else, because that is the most important thing we can do.
When the pastor is not saying you need to do more.
Right.
Because there's a lot of pastors and leaders who are telling their people, hey, you need to do more. We need more results. And our pastor has said, hey, you need to be still more.
Right.
You need to pray more. It shifts things.
It does.
And so I totally agree.
does.
And what have we seen since we started doing that?
Absolutely.
I mean, God
Transforms
has moved.
lives.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Well, listen, as we wrap up this episode on prayer, I want to encourage you with a couple things you can do. One, pick up this book. Okay. So what I love about this book is it is the world's smallest book, y'all.
The
this
chapters
is my
are
kind
so
of
small,
book.
yeah.
The chapters are like
God.
4 or 5 pages a piece. I don't think I finished Old Yeller in high school yet. So this is a big deal how small it is. So it's small, it's easy to read. So pick up this book. You can find it on Amazon. We'll put the link in the description as well. But then I also want to encourage you to check out longhollow.com/prayer, where you can find all the information about prayer night, how you can join a prayer team, how you can get engaged with our prayer app. We have a new app, Long Hollow app, and there's a prayer wall on there. So not only can you submit prayer requests, but you can go pray over people, and it lets them know that you prayed over them, which is really cool. So a lot of things that you can do to get involved. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode.